Hello, Vicky. Oh, let's see. Hello, John Grin. I don't know how to say your name. Thank you for coming, everyone. Diana. It's so lovely to see you. That is so nice. So nice to see everyone. Hey, Vicky, well done. You passed one of your exams. That's so good. Congratulations. Oh, gosh. Elaine, hello. Lady Anne, nice to see you. Oh, how are you doing? I hope you're all right. Gosh. Hello, Linda. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. You know, Diana, I'm so glad that you're here on my live today too. All the way from Canada. How lovely. It's so nice. Hello, Claire. Lovely to see you. Hello, Lynn. I'm doing all right. Yeah, I just Lynn 250. I just posted my sort of how you today thing today, and I have to say I'm having one of those days, and I'm just feeling a bit sorry for myself and a bit down. And there's no real reason. I think it's we all have days like this, don't we? No one's up and positive and happy all the time. I'm just having a day where I've been by myself all day. Both my sons are away. My husband is away. He's been playing golf all day, and I was trying to get together with some friends, and they weren't that interested. And do you know when you just feel a bit, no one likes me? So it's pathetic, isn't it? I'm like 58, and I'm, but it's not pathetic. It's not pathetic. I would tell off any of my clients that were mean to themselves like that. It's not pathetic. It's completely normal and natural. You know, we need human connection, and I need a bit of human connection today. So I am so grateful that you're all here, because I know that I'll come off this live and I'll have felt so validated and felt so good that you've been here. So yeah, thank you. So just give me a poke if I'm not if I'm not like 100% on here today. I'm doing my best. That's all any of us can do, isn't it? Oh gosh. So let me have a look. So Sue from Oz. Oh, so you're Paper Dog. So you're in England. So whereabouts in Oz are you? Because my son's in Australia at the moment. He's in Melbourne. He's just got himself a job in Melbourne at a golf course. So welcome. Glad that you're here. Carrie from Ireland. It's so lovely to see you. Oh, do you know, it's so nice. It's lovely. Yes. Shizra, nice to see you. Yeah, thank you, Vicky. I'm so chuffed for you. You've passed your exam. So Vicky Hodson and Lynn 250 moderators for me, and they keep this a lovely safe space. And not only do they do that, but they're just the most kindest, lovely people, like all of you, really. You know, it's just I'm so fortunate to have such lovely people in my life. And who knew that TikTok was going to be a place where we'd create a community like this. If you're new here, I'm Sarah. I'm a QCH therapist, or cognitive hypnotherapist, and I work mostly with people who are experiencing anxiety, but also people who have fears about things, who are feeling down, people who are feeling a bit stuck in their lives. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. It's so lovely to have you here. I do my lives twice a week, so I do the one, so today, Monday, 5 o'clock, so, and that sort of caters, is it 5 o'clock today? Yes, it is. So that sort of, hopefully that enables people in Canada and the States and the West to come and join us. And then on a Friday, I do one at 10 a.m, 10 o'clock in the morning, and that enables all the lovely people from New Zealand and Australia and Asia and the East to come and join us. And hopefully if you're in Europe or the UK, you can come to both if you fancy. So it's a really safe space. I always say we all know what kindness and empathy looks like. So that's why my moderator's here, to make sure that if there's anyone who doesn't know what kindness looks like, then we'll just block them. Block and delete. That is my that's my rule. Anyway, let's have a little look. So let's have a little look at your messages. Oh, Vicky, do you know, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? One of these days we should have a group, we should have an outing and see if we can all meet up in real life. How nice would that be? Oh, Shizra Zero, I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. I have anxiety issues. It makes me scared to live. Gosh, let me make a note of that, because I need to talk about that. So and also I can see John. So I think that's your name, John Cadin. Afraid to socialise, which is kind of they're close, aren't they? Those two, they're close, and yeah. So let me deal with some of those. I've written them down, so I'll come back to those. I'm just saying hello to a few people. I hope you don't mind. Our paper dogs. So Sue, you live in Perth Hills in Western Australia. That's so lovely. I went to Perth. When we went travelling like 30 years ago now. The first stop when we got into Australia was Perth. What an amazing place. Just beautiful. Really lovely. We went, yeah. So welcome. Let's have a look. So okay, so Shizra Zero. Let's help. Oh, thank you, Bev. Thank you. Oh, welcome, Bev. It's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for those lovely daisies. You're very kind. So let me talk, Shizra. So the way that I work with anxiety, and hopefully some of these things will be helpful for you. And then John, I'll come on to your point in just a second. So anxiety is it happens for a reason. We don't just become anxious, and we don't suffer from anxiety for no reason at all. It's not that you're broken. It's not that there's anything wrong with you at all. What's happening is that your nervous system is constantly scanning your environment, and sometimes there's stuff that is understood to be of threat in our environment, and those things can be really obvious, like if you've got an exam or a driving test, or if things don't feel safe in your environment, and that is understandable, I'm sure, for lots of people, but also there are times when our nervous system makes a match between something that's going on in our day to day and something that's happened in the past that it believed to be a threat. And if that happens, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is a threat still, but it understands it to be a threat, and it triggers fight or flight response, because the nervous system believes that fight or flight helped us that time in the past, so it's going to help us again. And if the thing that you're being triggered by is an everyday thing, then you can feel absolutely grim every day, and your nervous system is going into fight or flight. So you're either being made to feel so awful physically that you remove yourself from a situation, or perhaps you never go there in the first place. Like John, for you, the thought of socialising, this would apply to you, that if you have that match with socialising, that you think, oh no, it's just too awful, you'll get all of the physical symptoms, and that can be because we get a release of adrenaline and cortisol. That happens in an instant, and over time those levels can rise and rise and rise and rise, so that we're walking around with a really high level of stress hormones. And so it can make us feel our heart starts to beat, we overthink, our breathing changes, we can feel sick, we can get muscle pains, so all of that makes us feel like we just don't want to connect with the world, because the world is a scary place. And for you as well, it's that sense of, I'm scared to live, I'm scared about what's out there in the world for me. So it's completely understandable that you feel that way, and in a way your nervous system is working absolutely brilliantly, but it's working on information that either is not true at all and has never been true, or is no longer true, or maybe it was true at some time, but life has moved on and it perhaps is no longer true now. So and sometimes it can be absolutely true here and now in the moment, and once the thing is dealt with or the environment is moved away from or changed, then you'll get back to feeling a bit more you again. And the way that I do this, the way that I help people is by education to start with. It's about helping people understand what's going on, because it's a really scary place when you're in that place where you're feeling the way that you're feeling, you too, and also lots of other people in this live. It's really hard to know what to do about it, and it's hard to understand. So to understand, first of all, also then to begin to create a lifestyle, an environment of safety, something that can help you lower those levels of stress hormones. And we do that through self-care, through self-compassion, beginning to create an environment where you're bathed every day in those hormones which tell your nervous system all is well, stand down, there's no need for fight or flight or freeze. So self-care can do that for us. Connecting with various areas of our lives. I always talk about it as being almost as though we're standing in a hallway with lots of doors, but we're standing in the dark when we're suffering from anxiety or indeed low mood, depression. And by beginning to connect, by gradually and gently moving towards life, connecting with self-care, connecting with the people that we can trust and love and that we know love and trust us, connecting with ourselves so that we understand ourselves a bit better, connecting with nature, perhaps with animals if we have pets, connecting with things like learning and exercise and creativity. All of a sudden those doors start to open and we begin to realise, wow, outside of this dark place that I'm in, there's a whole world out there, there's a whole life that I can access and I can connect with. So that's the first step of what I do. And you can do that by yourself. You don't need a therapist to live that lifestyle. It's not about doing a laser focused, right, we're going to come in here and cure you of anxiety. It's about creating a lifestyle where you do that for yourself. So you take control of your well-being. And then what can also be helpful, and this is where a therapist does come in, is that you can think, okay, so this feeling that I get, where's this come from? What is the limiting belief I have? What is the event that happened that triggered this? What's the traumatic event? And trauma can be very different for all of us. And so it's a case of looking back at that and reframing it, understanding what really happened, because sometimes people are very surprised sometimes that the traumatic event is not necessarily the big thing that might have happened or might not have happened. Quite often it can be something that when you look at it through adult eyes you realise, oh, that wasn't about me. That was because that teacher or that person, they were really mean, and I didn't understand that at the time, that it wasn't my fault because I was only little, you know. And once you can take away the emotion from that event and renew the understanding, then you can, it's almost as if you can just put to rest all of those events that used to be connected with that first event. Because if that had never happened, you'd have never felt the way that you feel, because there'd be nothing to match to. Does that make sense? So it's a steady process, and for some people, you know, it's quicker than with others, but we're all unique. We all have a different reason for the way we feel, and it's really important that we understand and that we're kind to ourselves. So I hope that helps a little bit, and maybe for both of you, that's something that you can begin to work on, and, you know, have a look around at some of my videos and hopefully they'll be helpful for you. So thank you for asking those questions, and I hope you're all right. You know, I really appreciate you being here, and I hope that perhaps this live can help you, and being part of this community can help you too. So right, let me have a little look. The comments come thick and fast, and I apologise if I don't answer your question straight away. Then I'm really sorry. You're very welcome to get in touch. If you comment, or if you do the Q&A that's on my profile, then I can sort of see your questions in advance and maybe do a video for you. So let's have a little look. So yeah, Shizra. If Shizra and John, welcome to our community, and all of you. Perhaps if you've not even had your question answered yet, and you're just here, or maybe you're just you're here and you're just taking a moment and watching and reading the comments and listening to me, you're so welcome here. Maybe this can be the start of you realising that you're not alone, and that there is a way forward with anxiety. Quite often, the sort of mainstream way of thinking sometimes can be that you're broken and that there's no hope, that you'll always have to feel anxious, and I really don't believe that to be the case. So this is perhaps a start. Oh, all my hair's in my face. Okay, so let's have a look. Oh, thank you, Sheila Pereira. So Sheila shared the live. That's very, very lovely of you. Thank you for sharing. Let's have a look. So user 1256 and then a load of other numbers. I'm going abroad alone for uni this year, and it's so scary to be alone. How do I deal with my anxiety? So I totally get that how amazing to be going abroad for uni. That's so cool, and it's completely natural for your brain to be leaping ahead and imagining all the worst case scenarios. But remember, just because you're imagining it doesn't make it true. And what our brain does is that it always imagines the worst case scenario so that we can deal with it if it happens to turn up. But the chances will be that actually you'll put lots of stuff in place so that you'll have ways of not feeling so alone. So, to arrange regular FaceTimes and things like that, WhatsApp calls, Zooms with your family and friends back home, keep connected with the people back home. But also the university, wherever you're going, will know that you won't be the first person coming from abroad who is turning up and thinking, how am I going to make friends? How am I going to cope with this? So they will have things in place, and you'll have Freshers Week, lots of clubs that you can join. You will meet other people who've been there, perhaps their first year at uni. So for them as well, it would be a shared experience of being by themselves away from home for the first time. So you don't have to go in there and be anyone other than who you are. Just be you, and smile, be welcoming, let people know that you're feeling a bit anxious about it and that you're worried that you might be lonely. Loneliness tends to be about the quality of our relationships with people. So we can know loads and loads of people and still feel very alone, but we can know one or two people, but because of the quality of our relationship with them is absolutely solid, we don't feel lonely. Even if that person is not with us, we can feel really supported and seen and heard. So if you can set that up at home before you leave, even though you're going to be away, you can still feel not lonely. You can still feel like, oh wow, this is an exciting adventure that I'm on. So I hope that helps a little bit. Be kind to yourself, and when you imagine yourself in that place that's a difficult place, remind yourself this is not true. This has not happened yet. You don't quite know what's going to happen, and the chances are it will be an amazing experience. My son's girlfriend was at university. She went to Utrecht for university. I think she just had a year there. I'm not sure she was there the whole time. And the friends that she made there are friends for life. So she didn't even speak the language when she went over there. So I hope you have an amazing time. It all will be well, I bet you. Not that I'm a betting woman, but... All right, let's have a look. Let's see. Thank you for all these questions. Okay, So, okay, so Paige May, as you can see, you're asking your question like a million times. Any advice for car sickness with anxiety? So I will answer you because you are determined and you have not given up on getting your answer seen. So, yes, car sickness. So let's think about this. When we're anxious, when we get triggered into anxiety, one of the things that can happen is that we can feel a bit sick, a bit nauseous, and it can be in a car and manifest itself as car sickness, or it can be, just in our normal lives. So what's happening there is that, when we're anxious, our nervous system is purely concentrating on us surviving. And us surviving means that we only have the things that are going to help us. So the blood flow changes a little bit, and our blood flow our oxygen is being sent to our big muscles, so that we can run away, we can fight. And sometimes our blood pressure changes so that if we go into collapse or freeze, which I think is rather more unusual, but it's a very valid protective response, we possibly could faint or something like that. However, if you think about it, quite often when people are anxious over a long period of time, digestion can change, our reproductive system can change, because those are not totally essential. You don't see soldiers in the trenches sitting down with a lovely picnic to eat, do they? You kind of wait until all is safe before you do that. So that sense of feeling sick when you're in a car can be because of anxiety. And so you can use the calming techniques that I share. Breath techniques can be very good for helping with nausea, but also the sense of being in the moment. Practical stuff like sitting in the front seat, looking out of the window. Don't be looking down at something, because what your brain wants to do is be curious about what's going on outside. Curiosity is a great tool to help us when we're anxious, to be looking out at the world and be curious about it, but also to be curious about ourselves, but try and give our focus to the good stuff. So even things like how many yellow cars can I see? I know it sounds a bit sort of trite, but it really can help to distract our brains. So it also might well be that you're being triggered into anxiety in the car specifically because of something that's happened to you. So whether you have at a previous time in your life had a difficult event connected to being in a car, it may well be that, or it may be something to do with control, I don't know. And if that's the case, then it can be helpful if these things might help to a certain extent, but then what you might find is that going to see a therapist can be helpful. I'm a cognitive hypnotherapist, and we do lots of this work, going back and finding the first event and then reframing it. We believe that if you're ever going to go back to a memory, what you need to do is reframe it and look to the future again with it. You don't want to just be in a memory and reinforcing it by talking about how blinking awful everything is, So also a traditional hypnotherapist can be helpful too, and obviously all sorts of other therapies can be helpful, but it's about looking at, what did this mean? Why did this happen? And what can I do with it now? How can I look to the future? Does that make sense? So I hope that's helpful a little bit. Let's have a look. Let's look at some more questions. Thank you for joining me. If you're just joining me, I'm Sarah. I'm a Quest Cognitive Hypnotherapist, or QCH therapist, and I'm here every Monday and Friday to try and help with questions around well-being, anxiety, low mood, fears that you might have, all sorts of stuff. And I'll do my best. I have my training is limited. I saw someone commented a little bit earlier, I thought you were a psychologist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a QCH therapist. So I know my limits, and there are things which I'm not trained to deal with. But I'll do my best to answer anything that is within my remit. So I hope that helps. Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look. There's so many comments. It's so, Lola Lay, it's lovely to have you here. Yeah. So, sorry about this. I'm just going through to see if there's a question that will help. It's sort of a more of a general question. And also, thank you for following me. That's really kind of you. Let me have a look. So Vafan Kulo kindly, I have social anxiety. I went to a therapist and hypnotherapist. He helped me, but I still have anxiety. Well, I'm glad you went and found someone. And sometimes therapists, whatever modality they're from, they're not necessarily always going to be do everything. And it depends on how they work. Sometimes people could just be a stepping stone on your journey. Anxiety is completely normal, and it is, for me, if you're just working, if a therapist is just working about looking at the anxiety, then that for me is not necessarily helpful, because it's very much for me about creating a lifestyle. Because if you're just looking at if you're just thinking about anxiety, that's all you're thinking about, and so it becomes bigger and bigger in your world. For me, when I'm working with people, actually we tend not to think so much about the anxiety. What we're doing is going, okay, the anxiety is there because your nervous system is working really well. What we want to do is look at how your life could be, and then your brain starts to go, oh, that's so much nicer than the life I'm living at the moment. That looks good. And so you start to move towards life, and then the anxiety takes care of itself. So I think if you really focus on anxiety all the time, then that is not necessarily helpful. It's helpful to remember that you are not an anxious person. It's not you as a person. Anxiety is a behaviour, and if you're looking at a behaviour, then you can begin to change a behaviour, and you change a behaviour by replacing it with a different behaviour. So it's much more about giving your focus, honouring and acknowledging the fact that stuff is not great for you right now, but going, okay, that will sort itself out once my nervous system realises that I'm safe and I can be present in the here and now, much more than being off in the future imagining worst case scenario, and in the past imagining, all those things that I should have done, or all the things that did happen which were awful. So okay. So Emma 497, hi Sarah, I'm really struggling with overthinking and severe emetophobia. Do you have any advice? So I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. Emetophobia, if you're not sure what that is, emetophobia is a fear of either being sick yourself or a fear of being around people who might be sick. So it's a really difficult thing to be going through, and overthinking is a very normal part of feeling anxious. So I think perhaps some of the stuff that I was talking about when I was talking a bit earlier about nausea in the car perhaps is helpful for you, but generally with emetophobia it's well worth going to see someone to talk about it, because it will have happened, it will have been triggered because of an event in your past, whether that's you being sick or someone around you being sick, or maybe you seeing something on the telly or a film or something that really your nervous system found to be really distressing and horrible. quite often people who have emetophobia have either never been sick in their lives or have very rarely been sick, and so it's built up to be this thing which is awful and throws you out of control and is really scary. I had a lady the other day who'd had emetophobia for a really, really long time, and she got a stomach bug and was ill and was sick herself, and she said, I couldn't believe it. I've suddenly realised, oh, it's not this thing that I built it up to be, and the emetophobia disappeared. She was okay. The same thing happened to my son. So it's a very unique and individual thing. So it's definitely worth working with someone around it. Overthinking is very much about, like going off into the future, imagining stuff, going into the past, remembering stuff. And if you can be much more in the present, that can be very helpful. It's a case of learning, practicing, helping yourself to realise, here I am, here and now, and I'm safe right here and now. I'm present. Where am I? Where am I sitting? What am I able to touch? Just to breathe here and now. Meditation can be good for that. And I know with meditation that yes, your brain will go off and you'll find yourself thinking about your shopping list or what's on telly tonight, that kind of thing. But the thing about meditation is that you're not trying to empty your mind. What you're doing is you're beginning to train your mind to notice when it's drifted off and just come back, and then just concentrate on your breath or on your feet on the floor, something like that, and then off it's gone again. Bring it back. So I hope that helps a little bit. If you have a look on my page, there are categories. There is a category, I did a video about emetophobia, so that might be helpful. And I think I did one on overthinking as well. So perhaps go and have a wee look at those, and I hope that they help you. Holly Evans, thank you. I'm so grateful that you think it's informative. I do, I think to myself, oh my gosh, I hope, because I do tend to sort of talk about quite a lot of the same stuff. And I think to myself, well, is it interesting for people? So it always makes me feel nice when people think that it is. So thank you, I appreciate that. So Amalaun, I'm sorry if I've said your name wrong. I'm getting therapy soon for the first time and I'm kind of nervous. What's it like? Well done for getting therapy. I'm really pleased that you've managed to get in to see somebody. That's great news. And as a therapist, I completely understand that everyone who comes to see me, or most people that come and see me for the first time, are feeling a bit nervous and a bit anxious about it, because it is an unknown thing. And probably, you might have heard people talking about it, but you're always thinking, what's this going to be like? Am I going to be judged? What are they going to think of me? All of that kind of stuff. How's it going to work? So we will always do our absolute best to make you feel comfortable. The first session generally is about making a person feel as comfortable as they can be, so that you just get to know each other a bit more, It's that, and I'm working all the time on building rapport, so that's for me, for my voice to be nice and steady and relaxed, for my breathing to be steady and relaxed, for all the messages that I'm sending you non-verbally as well as verbally, to help your nervous system understand that you're in a safe space. And so I'm sure that your therapist will be doing that for you too. And they'll probably ask you, how are you feeling about today's session? Have you been worried about it? If you've got anything that you're particularly worried about. And hopefully they'll explain how the session's going to run and all of that kind of thing. So you don't need to prepare anything. You just go along and just be you and just take your time. And as time goes on, you'll settle into it. It'll become more and more comfortable. There are challenging times in therapy. There's times where I have clients and they will be tearful over stuff, but we always try and end on a positive. And we often, I know in my sessions, we laugh quite a lot too. So it's about dipping into the difficult stuff, coming back out and settling everything, dipping in again, coming out and settling. And you should be moving at a pace that just feels right for you. So I hope that helps a little bit, and good luck. I hope it works well for you and you enjoy it and you really get what you hope to get out of it. So yeah, good luck. So let's have a little look at another question. So Yvonne, and also there's another one, I'm not going to say your name. Oh, Jasmine, bless you. Jasmine, you're here. Oh, Jasmine Lake is my one of my moderators, and she's had a heck of a day. She's just had a really hard day, and so I'm so thrilled that you're here, Jasmine. You didn't have to be. That's the wonderful thing about my moderators, is that they come even though they're having a hard day and they're going through their own stuff. They turn up and they're so supportive and so kind in this community. So Jasmine, welcome, and thank you so much for sending me roses. That is just very, very kind of you. So yes, as I was saying, so 2 comments here. What guidance can you give to people who see the world as literally pointless? And also Yvonne, oh, I didn't mean to do that, sorry. I have periods of recurring depression that happens. When it comes, how do I deal with it as it's heavy? So I'm really sorry that you're feeling this way, Yvonne. It's really hard. Depression is such a dark place to be, and it can come upon us. It will come for a reason, and hopefully you have someone who's supporting you to help see you through these times. And perhaps this does connect sometimes with what the other commenter who said about, the world just seeming like a pointless place, because it can feel that way sometimes. I don't know if you feel that way, but I think it's important to understand that we only have control over our own little bit of the world. And if we're looking at the greater world, the climate change, global warming, politics, if we're looking out there at all the stuff that's going on in the world, it can feel a bit hopeless and a bit pointless. And if I had a bit of a rant a week or so, or 2 weeks ago, because I have quite strong thoughts on what's going on in the world, which I won't share with you here and now. But all we can do is make the most of our part of the world and make a difference in the best way that we can, to be kind to the people around us, to be kind to the world around us, and do what we can, because none of us have ever known what's going to happen to the world. So that's one thing to remember. As far as going through episodes of depression, it's really important to reach out and to take things slowly, to begin as far as you can to create that environment of safety that I was talking about, self-care. And when you're feeling depressed, it's really hard to do that. I was saying earlier on today, this is not depression at all, this is just me having just one of those days. But I really couldn't be bothered. I knew that I should take action, I knew I should go out, go for a walk, but I just couldn't make myself. I just wasn't in the mood to do it. And so when you're truly depressed, that is a million times more difficult. So it is about just creating tiny steps that begin to connect you to the world, doing small things for yourself that begin to give you the release of those hormones that help your system understand, it's okay, we do have a bit of control, there is hope, all of those sort of things. So depression is difficult, and I do feel for you, but it is about taking it slowly, taking your time and connecting with people, doing perhaps small tasks that make your world feel safe and secure. I know when I was years ago now, you know, it's going to be 20 odd years ago when I had postnatal depression. For me, it's just started with my coffee table. If I could keep my coffee table tidy, that was a massive thing for me, and it just felt ordered. And so I sort of started to spread that as I began to get better and better. But yeah, I hope that helps a little bit. Yvonne, you take care. I hope that if you're in a time of depression right now, I hope that passes for you as quickly as possible. Yeah. Let's have a look. So I can see Eve Cooper, you're having a chat with Lynn. Let me see if I can see what your initial comment was. So how do you just stop overthinking everything? So some of the stuff that Lynn 250 was saying there is helpful. It is really about distracting your mind, bringing yourself to the moment, because overthinking is very much about you're not in this actual moment a lot of the time. You're somewhere else. You're imagining worst case scenario, and so distraction can be really helpful. Doing things like, as Lynn says, you know, doing colouring books, doing activities that you really enjoy and you look forward to doing, physical stuff, so that you're much more in your body rather than in your mind. Exercise of some type can be helpful for this. Creativity can be really helpful for this. And I think if you're really struggling and you've done all of those things and you've tried your best, you know, it's definitely worth reaching out and asking for help, going to perhaps chatting to your doctor if you can get an appointment. I know it's rubbish at the moment, isn't it? But that can be really helpful. Looking perhaps for a therapist who can help you, give you strategies to help you through this period of time, and beginning to focus on the good stuff as much as you can, honouring the fact that life is difficult at the moment, but realising that actually you just drilling down and focusing on how bad everything is doesn't help. All it does is it makes you realise how bad everything is. Some of the things that you can do is to write everything down, just to write it down on a piece of paper and then look through it and go, okay, what do I actually have control over? What can I do anything about? And if you're worried about stuff like climate change, global warming, politics, the world, the universe, you can cross those out, because actually it's about learning to let go of those things. Those things are beyond your control. Maybe there are things there that you do have control over, like your environment, like the way people are around you. You can perhaps talk to them, begin to influence them, let them know how you're feeling. So those things, write those down and think, okay, these are my things that I can do something about. But for now, to give yourself a break, put those things in an envelope, seal the envelope, put it to one side and go, right, I'm going to deal with those, but right now I need to be kind to myself, and go and do something that perhaps you would really fancy doing, that can give you that release of those good hormones. So I hope that helps a little bit, Eve. You take care of yourself. It's hard, isn't it? Life is hard sometimes. I do feel for you. Let's have a look. So Demira Romero, did you yourself ever struggle with anxiety, and if so, how long did it take you to heal? No, I haven't suffered from anxiety, other than not chronic anxiety. I've had times when I've been really anxious. At the beginning of COVID, my son was in Australia and I wasn't sure if I could get him back, and that was a period of a week or so where I just couldn't sleep, and it physically hurt me, and it gave me a little bit of an idea of how my clients were feeling with the anxiety that they suffer. But no, I haven't, and I'm I think we all have periods of time when we are anxious. It's a totally normal thing, and it's there to help us. It's there as a flag to say to us, this thing is wrong in our life, this thing is difficult, this thing is a match to something that's happened in the past, and we need to reframe it and look at it. So it is really helpful and normal. But when you're suffering every single day over a long period of time, then that's not a place that you want to be. So that's why I work really hard to help people as best I can. So I hope that answers your question. Let's have a look. If you're scared of the doctor, so Eve, I see that you say that you're scared of the doctors. It's hard, isn't it? And I think I would say that when you've had a difficult experience with a doctor, it's very understandable that you can club everyone together as they're all going to be like this particular person was. But that's not necessarily true. I've had experiences with doctors who've been complete, I won't say the word, but anyway, you know what I mean. And I've also had experiences, very fortunately, when I went to the doctor, when I I'd reached breaking point really all those years ago with postnatal depression. The doctor that I saw, and I stood in reception of the doctors and just sobbed and said, I need to see someone now. And the doctor that I saw was absolutely wonderful. And I think she probably saved my life. She just was incredible. So don't give up on doctors. There are some amazing people out there. The fact that they're very much under the cosh at the moment, and that perhaps your experience so far has been not so good, doesn't mean that there aren't people out there who are really not really helpful. So maybe it's worth saying to the receptionist, if you can talk to a receptionist, or saying to a friend who's at the same surgery, is there anyone that you recommend? Is there anyone really nice? Because it's worth waiting to see that person if you know that they're going to be kind and they're going to actually look at you and listen to you and see you and hear you. So don't give up. Don't give up. There are good people out there. You can also bypass the doctor. You can go straight to finding a therapist perhaps who might be able to help you. And there are lots of places you can find those. There are directories. There's, in my profile, there's the QCHPA therapist finder. There's lots of really great people there. It's always really important to talk to people before you decide to work with them. So you can contact people through that. There's the counselling directory. There's BACP, which is another counselling directory. There's the psychologist directory. So, that there are ways of getting help that don't necessarily mean you have to go to the doctor. But if it's a physical thing, do go to the doctor first. So Sai, 13, 40, 18, 6. Your voice is so soothing. Well, thank you. I sometimes get anxious and stressed. Riding my motorbike gives me peace. Heather also had a really good thing there. Go with a family member to the doctors. Great idea. I forgot to say that. Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, we all have different... This is such a good example, Sai, if that's your name, Sai. We all have different things that float our boat. It's very easy to think that to be relaxed and to feel calm and safe, you have to be able to sit in a lotus position for 4 hours going on. That's not necessarily what relaxation is for everyone. For Sai, it's getting on his motorbike and getting out and being on the open road, and I'm just imagining how wonderful it must feel for you. I've had clients before who said, my way of relaxing is being on a mountain bike and just going down a mountain as fast as I can, and I get to the bottom and I'm covered in mud and I'm all sweaty, and that is their idea of relaxation. And other people, it's stuff like baking or painting or going for a walk or just watching a film with their cat on their lap and a big bowl of popcorn. We're all different, and so it's about finding the thing that helps you to feel in flow, to feel present in this moment, for your nervous system to go, we are okay in this moment. So have a little think about that. What does it for you? But thank you for sharing that. I love that, Si. Let's have a look. Just having a little look through here. Good. I'm so glad. Lynn 250, thank you for helping Eve there. Eve Cooper, I hope that you're okay. So Morgan McLeod 53, you're saying, I'm hurting real bad right now and I feel manic. Please help. So I would say reach out now to your team that's helping you, whether that's your doctor, whether it's your therapist, whether it's a mental health team. Reach out to them. This is probably not the right space for me to be able to help you. And if you perhaps are suffering from bipolar disorder, that's beyond my realm of training. So I'm so sorry that I can't help you right here and now. But if you Google perhaps a mental health crisis team in your area, there will be a phone number, there will be a helpline that can help you. Mental health support also. If you Google them, they're a charity that are really helpful. So you can also, if it's really, really bad at the moment, you could potentially go to Casualty. You could call 999, but I mean, only if that is a real emergency. You could also call the Samaritans on 116 123 if you're in the UK. But I'm so glad that you reached out there, and I apologise that I can't help you in this moment here and now, but there are people, so please do that now. Reach out to those people that I've mentioned there, and they'll be able to help you much more than I can. But you take care of yourself, keep safe, okay? Alex CB99 says, hi Sarah, do you offer online one-to-one counselling? So yes, I do. I see clients online. Most of my clients, I would say probably 80-90% of my clients I see online, and I do see people one-to-one. At the moment I have a waiting list. I seem to have a waiting list all this year. I've had a waiting list, but I gradually work my way through it. So I don't always work with everyone who approaches me. I always have a phone call pretty soon after anyone's approached me to see if we're the right fit, because often we're not. Often maybe it's something that you're suffering from that I'm not the right therapist for you, but I will be honest with you. And it is, as I say, I do have a waiting list. So if you wanted help more immediately, then it might be worth having a look at the QCHPA Therapist Finder on my profile, because there are people there, really good people who trained at the place where I trained. They do the same sort of work as I do. I'm also the training manager there, so that might be helpful. But the short answer is yes, I do. And I see people from all over the place. I'm working with people at the moment from all over the UK, from America, from Canada, all sorts of different places. It's amazing, isn't it? But yeah, I hope that helps. Julie Reese-Deaver. Can you explain why some people gain energy from big social events and others feel absolutely drained? Well, yes, I can. So the introverts and extroverts. I'm an introvert, and I'm confident and I am happy to speak in front of lots of people. I love doing lives. I know that there's hundreds of people a lot of the time that are watching, and that's absolutely fine. But actually the way that I get my energy is by quiet time. So I do need to have connection with human beings. And I think today one of the reasons why I felt a bit down was that I'd had too much of being on my own. And my husband has come home from golf, and I can see him sitting outside just reading his book. And after my live, I'm going to say to him, do you fancy going for a walk? So that would be a nice connection, because that's just one-to-one. But for me as an introvert, and I think for a lot of introverts, going to a big party or being in a place with lots and lots of people can be really exhausting. I know when I do the training weekends, when I train new therapists, I'm on show all weekend, 8 hours a day, constantly talking, constantly connecting to people, answering questions and being there for people. And when I come home from those, I feel absolutely drained, and I just need quiet. I need just space, just to re-energize myself, really. And it's the other way around. If you're an extrovert, then you'll probably be the other way around, in that you will get your energy from being with people. And so probably times like lockdown, where you couldn't be with lots of people, would have been a nightmare for you if you were an extrovert, because you're okay being by yourself and being with the odd person here and there. But if you don't get that energizing connection with lots of people, or with people, then you start to feel really drained, because it saps you being in that place where there's only you, perhaps. So it's that sense of being introvert, extrovert. So it's not about being confident or being shy, it's about where you get your energy from. And sometimes you can be a little bit of a person in the middle, there can be different ways of being, but I hope that explains a little bit. I'm kind of coming to the end. I've only got about 4 minutes left. The live goes so quickly, but I'll see if I can answer a couple more questions. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you coming here, being here. So many of you I see come to all my lives, or come to as many as you possibly can, and I love it. I go through the stats at the end, and I see the people who have been, like Kezia. I know you come to so many of my lives. Bev, I know that you come to so many of my lives, and I'm so sorry if I don't mention your name. That's why at the end I like to kind of hang around a bit and say hello to you, because I do know how massively supportive you are of me and of this community. So I really am grateful. And if you're new here, and perhaps you've followed me today, or you've shared this live, or you sent likes, or you sent the virtual gifts, I'm so grateful. I really am. It means a lot to me. And today has been a difficult day for me. I've not felt like 100%. I felt a bit low, and so actually this has been a real boost for me to be on here, and to be able to chat with you all, and to see the community that's built, the kindness that there is in this community. So you're always so welcome to be here. If you've just joined and you're thinking, oh, well, it's just about to end, well, I always share these lives onto my YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel is reachable through my profile. So if you go along and subscribe to that, you can watch any lives in your own time. You can obviously pause, and when you've had enough and do a bit more and a bit more, and I try and write down what I've covered in the lives, so hopefully that will be helpful for you. I do my lives every Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning British time, and I do them on a Monday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon as well. So, and they're always an hour long. Oh gosh, so let me have a little look. Oh, Marcus, thank you, it's very kind of you. Let me see, let me answer. Let me see about answering another couple of questions. Okay, so Danny, any tips on dealing with anxiety, dizziness? I always think I'm dying. So dizziness tends to come from Well, first of all, I would say just get it checked out with your doctor. Just get it checked out just to make sure that the dizziness is from the anxiety and not from anything else, because it could be something really easy and simple to fix medically. So that's the first thing. Go and get it checked out with your doctor. But if you've had it checked out and they say no, it's just anxiety, there are lots of things that you can do about that. So as I always say, it's creating that environment of safety. Look at breath techniques, because breathing is often the thing that can be triggering of feeling a bit dizzy. So look at the triangle breath. There's a balancing breath that I do. There's resetting your breath. There's lots of breathing techniques that can be very helpful just to slow everything down. And the slowing of your breath, making your out breath nice and long and slow, and not worrying about your in breath, because the in breath will always happen. That also can be helpful for your heart rate, because if your breathing is nice and slow and steady, then your heart rate will slow and you'll get to a place where actually all is well and you don't have that sense of dizziness. So hopefully that's helpful for you. It is about not waiting to feel dizzy. It's about creating a lifestyle where everything is actually nice and slow and safe and steady. So I hope that helps a wee bit. You take care. Let's have a look. Let's just have one more question that I'm going to answer. Oops, a daisy. Let's have a look. So let's have a look. So 3002L, can growing up in an abusive household ever since you were little affect you mentally? Well, yeah, it can. Absolutely, it can. It doesn't necessarily have to. It just really depends on the sort of thing that you went through, the support that you might have had when you were going through it. We're all different, and so just because we go through really difficult times when we were little doesn't necessarily mean that we're affected by it forever. But it's always going to be part of who we are, that we'll have been through those times, and a lot of the time it can mean that we're in protection, and that can have an effect on us both physically and emotionally. So everyone is affected differently by trauma, and everyone that comes to see me, the reason that they are feeling the way that they feel will be because of a traumatic event. We tend to call them significant emotional events rather than traumatic events, because I think we tend to think of trauma as being something really big, and obviously it can be, but it can also be things that maybe the outside world can look at, and maybe even you yourself can look at and go, but how could that be the thing that's affected me? So I think an important thing to remember is, even though you might have suffered a really traumatic and abusive childhood, it doesn't need to cast a shadow over your whole life. You can choose and you can work gradually to become the person that you want to become. There's a story that my mentor, my friend, Trevor Sylvester, tells, and I don't know if this is a sort of an urban myth that he tells, or whether this is the truth. I can't remember if he says he actually worked with these two brothers, or whether it's just a story that he told to demonstrate this. But what he says was that there were two brothers that grew up with an abusive father, and their father drank and was physically abusive, and as they grew up, one of the brothers also became very abusive to his children, and was he drank, and the other brother didn't drink at all and was good and kind and generous and supportive of his children. And when asked, why do you think you behave in this way, both of them had the same answer: how could I be anything else? And so for one of them, the abusive experience that they'd been through meant that they relived that experience, and it came into their own lives, and that they felt that this was the only way that they could be, because they were in protection, and that was their way of dealing with difficult experience. For the other person, it was a case of, how could I be anything else other than kind, and to not drink, to not do the things that my dad did because it seems to make sense to them. Does that make sense? That they took two completely different paths. So there is that hope. I think we always have hope, don't we, that we can take a path and we can work on ourselves, that we can actually go into something called post-traumatic growth, where we actually use the experience to help us. And I don't want that to sound trite or in any way, or not understanding in any way, shape or form, but we don't have to be trapped by our experience that we've been through. So I hope that explains. Does that help? I hope so. Everyone's different, that's the thing to remember. So we all have a different path through life. Yeah. We can't help but be affected by what's happened in our lives, but it doesn't necessarily need to be in a completely negative way. So I think I'm going to bring everything to a close now. So thank you so much for being here. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Marcus, you're very kind. Thank you so much. Oh golly, fainting goat. Let me see. I'm just scrolling through Fainting Goats. It's lovely to have you here again. Thank you for being here. I'm just going to see if I could see your question. Sorry about this. Thank you, Lynn250, for pointing this out to me. I'm just having to scroll back through. Oh, blimey. Okay, any advice when specialists say you're at the end? Thank you very much for pinning that, Lynn. I appreciate that. Any advice when specialists say you're at the end of all treatment options medically? Gosh, that's hard, isn't it? That's really hard. I mean, I'm not sure I believe them, because everything is changing all the time. I would look for different doctors. I don't know, because I don't know what you're going through, and it may well be that you're going through stuff that maybe I'm not adequately trained in which to comment. But I think that's a very, very negative thing to say, that, oh well, that's it for you, because there's always hope, there's always something that can be done, and if medically there's, at the moment, they can't see a way forward, then how can they support you emotionally and mentally? You know, there's always a way forward, and I think that it's really negative just to say, oh, that's it, you know, we wash our hands of you. I don't think that that's right, that people do that. I really don't. So I would go back to them and I'd say, well, okay, this is really hard one, Fainting Goat. I would go back to them and I would just say that you want to continue this discussion, and think about, so if medically we're at the place where we are at the moment, where can we go in other forms of support? Is there some sort of other care that can be helpful? And maybe ask around, maybe not your medical team, but ask around with people that you know. Google the condition perhaps you've been diagnosed with, and look around and see, are there other options? I don't know. I hope that's helpful. I'm not sure it is. I appreciate you asking, and I appreciate Lynn 250 bringing that to my attention. Yeah, gosh. I feel for you. Look after yourself, because, you know, you look how quickly things change. The world changes and research changes. Change happens so quickly. So to say that, oh, that's it, I think is a very short-sighted view. So, Vicky soon, coffee soon. Yeah, good idea. That would be great. Oh goodness, right, so I'm going to wrap this up now. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you to my moderators, to Vicky Hodson, to Jasmine Lake, to Lynn 250. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate the time and energy that you spend helping me on these lives. You are kindness itself. Thank you to everyone who's been here. Thank you for following. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for taking part in this. And if I've not managed to answer your question, then you can use the Q&A facility on my profile. You can always email me, and I will get back to you with an answer to your question. You can comment on any of the videos that I've done, and I always answered all the comments. So far I've managed to anyway. And yeah, just look after yourselves, take care. If you've come in at the end, go and have a look at my YouTube channel through my bio, and I'll upload this. And if I've been a bit sort of not as helpful today, my apologies. It's just been a bit of one of those days today, but I really appreciate you being here, and thank you for all your support. You are absolutely lovely. And yeah, I'm going to stay and just have a look at comments and just sort of say hello to a few people, if that's all right. And then I'm going to finish the live. But thank you for being here. I really appreciate your support. Thank you. Oh, Jasmine, thank you, my lovely. Oh, Elizabeth Malmros, thank you. I've seen a few of your comments recently, and thank you so much for being here. It's lovely. Oh. Gosh. Oh, Fainting Goat. I'm so glad. I hope you're all right. You take care of yourself, my lovely. Nicolette, 1959. Thank you. I appreciate that. Frappe Chicken. I love your name. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jasmine Lake. I'm definitely going for a walk in a second. Yeah, I hope you have a nice evening too. I know you've had a bit of a day of it. So you take care of yourself. Elaine, thank you, Lady Anne. You have a lovely evening. I'm going to have a very relaxing evening. Thank you. Oh, Elizabeth Malmros, thank you. Let's have a look. Julie Fulgoni, it's so nice to see you. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you. I love seeing all these. I love seeing all these messages. It makes me feel really nice. Nicolette, thank you. You take care. Oh, Katie Marsh. Oh, day at a theme park. Oh, that's exhausting. I hope that I hope you're all right. Oh yeah, Jasmine. Yeah, take your mum out. I'm going to drag my husband out, whether he likes it or not. Oh. Oh, Anzia Lucas, first time watchers, you were on my For You page. Stayed for the whole thing because you gave us such love. Can't see the whole comment. I'm so glad. Oh, lovely. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm so pleased. Oh, I love it. That just makes my day when I hear stuff like that. Thank you so much. You're really welcome. Oh, didn't mean. Sorry about that. Oh, Heather, thank you for being here, Heather. HMash, it's really nice. Kezia, thank you, my lovely. Antisocial child. Caitlin, it's nice to see you here. Oh, thank you. I'm not sure I do look beautiful. I think I look a little bit sweaty and frazzled. But you're very kind. Thank you very much. Oh, bless you. You're all so lovely. Samaya, hello. It's really nice to see you. Oh, Katie Marsh. Yeah, well, I hope tomorrow goes really well. Just don't worry about tomorrow. Try not to. Try and be here and now. Make a nice evening for yourself tonight. Fainting coat, glowing. It's called glowing, darling. Oh, you've really made me smile there. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Julie Diva. So nice to have you here. My worry wart. Oh. Caitlin. That's so nice. Always here every Monday before. Oh, you're here before Monday before work. That's so nice. Right, I must go. I'm going to finish off more water. You'll be glad to see I've got a pint of water, and I'm going to grab my hubby and go for a little walk. And hope you all have a lovely evening. Maybe see you on Friday. Am I going to be able to? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I've got to go to a thing on Friday, but I'm going to do my live as well. So I hope to see you all there. You take care. Thank you so much for all your kindness and support. Really appreciate it. Take care. Cheerio.